having more fun than you, than Mike is.
You're doing what?
I'm having more fun than Mike is.
I'm sure you are, Kathy. Oh, that's right. You're up in Wisconsin, aren't you?
On the order, right?
I'm on vacation.
Lucky you. I'm kind of on vacation.
I don't know about that.
There we go.
All right, Mayor, you want to call to order and then you can pass the gavel over?
You ready?
Yep.
All right. I am going to call this budget hearing for September 13th to order. Since it's easier to have someone in person run the meeting, I'm going to ask Joseph to take over for me, and I am going to sit back and listen to y'all do your work.
Have fun, Hap.
With that being said, and with the mayor being away and the vice mayor being away due to some circumstances they can't control, I would take over the meeting. We're allowing them to be at our meeting via Zoom. So it's now 6:30. Let's we're gonna do away with the pledge and the invocation and do that at the beginning of the regular meeting. And so we'll move on over to the budget. All yours, Steve.
All righty.
I think it just needs turned on. And off. There it goes. Okay.
We're good. All right, good evening, Steve Kuntz, Town Manager for the Town of Oakland. The purpose of tonight's public hearing is to present to the public the proposed millage rate, the rollback millage rates, and the tentative budget for FY 2022, which begins October 1st of 2021. So the presentation outline is I'm going to do the presentation of the millage rate. I'll turn it back over to Commissioner McMullen for public comments. And then the town commission actions are approval to adopt the 2022 tentative millage rate. I'll go through some slides to talk about the budget and then ask for approval of the 2022 tentative budget and then approval of the public hearing for the final adoption. So the first thing I want to do is talk a little bit about the millage rate before we get to the presentation of the millage rate. Over the last, I went back 8 years. You can see where the millage rate's been for the town. In 2015, it was 6.75. It's like that through 2018. In 2019, as a result of the growth and the things that are going on here in town, the commission was able to reduce the millage from 6.75 to 6.65. The following year, same thing, reducing from 6.65 to 6.5 for 2020. Now, some of the things to consider with reduction in the millage, we've also been working to build up our reserves. And if you look at the audits over these 2 or 3 years, you can see the reserves were very low. We've done this incremental reduction in the millage. On the other side, we've been trying to make sure we're shoring up the reserves for the town. And there's a great presentation that the auditor gave on August 10th. If anybody's interested to listen about where we need to be for reserves. So we've got a lot of work to do in building up the town reserves, but we do have a little bit of room to incrementally talk about reducing the millage. The reason it did not go down from 2020 to 2021 was because that was when COVID broke. We did have some reduction in some of our other sources of revenue, both sales tax and revenue sharing from the state. We were anticipating reductions in revenue, so it didn't seem prudent to reduce revenues on the property tax side. Going into this year, and I'm going to show what's happened, but the trim notices went out for 2022, and it had 6.5. That's what the commission approved on July 27th. Going into this public hearing, we were able to, as staff, reduce the millage from 6.5 to 6.6. So it's another incremental reduction in the millage rate. And again, people looking at their taxes, I'll talk a little bit about rollback rate, but there's two sides to that equation. There's property values and the millage rate. And that the two of those is what dictates what your property taxes are going to be. If somebody doesn't have several homes or doesn't have homestead on their house, you may see market increases in your property value, which then would increase your taxes. Somebody that's been in their house for more than 3 years shouldn't see more than about a 3% increase in their values. And then with the millage coming down, you still may see a little bit of an increase in taxes, but it's really, and we have no control over property values. That's the property appraiser that takes care of that. But this does help to kind of to temper the taxes on people that have been in town for a period of time. So moving on to the next slide. There are 4 things I need to, in order for us to be in compliance with the trim process, there are 4 things that I need to make sure that I announce as part of this. The first one is the taxing authority's name, which is clearly up on the screen. It's the Town of Oakland Millage. The second thing I need to announce is the rollback rate, which is 6.0818. And the rollback rate is take out new construction. And you're looking at this in the aggregate, not individual people's properties, but in the aggregate. If with the rise in property values, if you wanted to bring in the same amount of revenue next year as you brought in this year, that's what the rollback rate shows. It's that 6.0818. Again, that's in the aggregate for the entire town, taking out new construction. As part of the statutes, we have to show the rollback rate and then show the difference between the millage that's being recommended and what that rollback rate is. So the next thing I need to talk about is the percentage increase over the rollback rate, which is 5.23%. So again, on 7/27, you approve 6.5. What staff is recommending for approval tonight is 6.4. You can go down at the public hearings, you can't go up. So that's why the July 27th meeting is so important when you set that millage. We were a little more conservative this year, setting it at the same rate, making sure that we had the room to be able to reduce it, which is what we're doing tonight. So I'll turn it back over to Commissioner McMullen to open it for public comment.
Okay, thank you, Steve. So with that being said, does anybody online have any questions from the public?
Do we have any hands raised, Alicia?
I see no hand.
Thank you.
All right, bring it back to the table. Please, Steve.
All right. So the first action tonight is the approval, and we've got the resolution here in person. It's the approval of resolution 2021-06, adopting a tentative millage rate of 6.4 mils for the town of Oakland.
Okay, any comments, any questions?
I have a comment on this chart that we have here. So that shows it sliding down or undulating.
Yes, we've got a downward trend for sure.
Correct. So if same pace, we should be headed down towards dropping 0.1 every year
Yes.
to keep our reserves increasing.
Exactly. So, I believe the intention with the growth that's going on is for us to look at this every year. So as long as the economy doesn't change, we don't have any major changes with the economy, a recession or so forth. As long as things remain strong, yeah, I could anticipate that the millage rate will reduce over time and continue that downward trend.
I have a question. I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
We made a commitment to start to lower our millage, and we have kept that commitment. I am very proud that we have been able to do this, and we will continue to try to do this every year. You never know what's going to happen, but that's our intent.
Vice Mayor?
That's it. I'm done.
I was asking Vice Mayor if he had anything to, any comment?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Anything from you, Commissioner Pollock? Okay. Are we ready for the vote?
Yes.
Make them,
I'm not talking about for the motion.
Motion.
I'll make a motion to approve approve resolution 2021-06, adopting a tentative millage rate of 6.4 mils for the town of Oakland.
I'll second it.
All right, it's been properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing no nays. Back to you, Mr. Steve.
All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is go through a short budget presentation. The first thing you have to do is adopt the millage, and then you can talk about the budget. And so I'm going to give a short presentation. It's very much mirrors the discussion that we had on July 27th. There's been a few small changes that I will go over as we go through the presentation. But again, every year we do the analysis of the millage rate. We are looking to make sure we're setting aside adequate reserves. If you listen to the auditor, they're looking at 15 to 25% of your operating, especially in the general fund. And again, we're very strong in the utility fund, and we're building the general fund as things move forward. And then we do have a huge number of infrastructure projects, and many of them grant funded, so they're one-time funding projects. So our budget does look significantly bigger than it did last year, but again, we've got some significant projects, and we're keeping Mr. Parker here very busy. So again, the total general fund is $10 million, a little over 10 million, 10,039,803. Again, property values have increased 17%. And the one change that you'll see on this from July, I had a note on the July presentation that we still needed to account for the HVAC. So I'll talk about that in the next slide, but it is a significant increase from what you saw in July, but it is the HVAC project over at the school. The budget's based on the millage of 6.4. Again, we can reduce it at the first public hearing, which is what we've done tonight. And then the estimated reserves were about $725,000. Couple more notes with the general fund. The Orange County Fire Rescue, this is by agreement. What the town of Oakland pays for fire services is equal to what you would pay if you were in an unincorporated Orange County. Unincorporated Orange County, the millage rate of 2.2 mils that's assessed on anybody that's in an unincorporated. Through our agreement, there are basically, we do it through our 6.5 millage. So that 6.5 millage accounts for the 2.2 mils for fire, but that's how the agreement's based. And so as property values go up, the cost of Orange County Fire Rescue also goes up. So that's why you see that 132,000. We negotiated that. It's a 10-year agreement, and like I said, it is equitable to what you would pay if you were living in the county. So we don't pay more or less than for fire service than you would if we had our own fire department. It would be a significantly bigger budget trying to run our own fire service just for the town. So we do have a very good deal with that. The other thing that's included in the budget is funding for salary increases based on performance appraisals, 4% for town staff, 5% for directors, and 6% for Oakland Police Department. The other thing I also put in here is going from 10% to 12% for the retirement contribution for officers. We are trying to get some equity with some of the other agencies. It's going to take us time. We're doing it incrementally, but that's where that 12% is, why that's in there. And that's for the sworn officers. It does include funding for the part-time event coordinator, which we have already brought on for staff. And there's increased budget for events because of the enhanced lighting. Since we didn't really do an event last year, we had the drive-through. We spent a little more on lighting. That went over very well, so we wanted to make sure we continued with that. So there's a little bit more money in there for the town center. And then the last thing highlighted, just so I wouldn't forget to mention it, I have included the HVAC, both the revenue from the lease proceeds and then the actual construction. So that's in there. That's why you see an increase from 7 million to 10 million. It's a $2.9 million project. The total utility fund project, and the total utility fund is $6,818,600. That's based off of a couple things. And again, it's a significant increase from last year. But we've got water revenue, we've got more water customers, we've got the wastewater revenue, we've got, I think almost 650 customers in wastewater now. Includes funding for 4% salary increases for staff under the utility fund, again, based on performance appraisals. It does include a full-time utility building supervisor position. And let's see. One other thing we talked about was doing a limited term inspector position that I had as a note on the last presentation. I have included that position to help out with public works and making sure we stay on top of all these projects. Some of them, the grant funded projects, as well as the development projects. We do get funding from the development projects, and we can do some administrative costs through the grants. So we've got one inspector under the general fund and one inspector now in the utility fund. So that's also included in the overall budget for the utility fund. And then again, reserves are pretty healthy in the fund at $1.5 million. I'm going to go through some of the projects in the utility fund next. All right, so we've got 3 major grant projects that are in there, and these are ones. So we've got the Hull Avenue septic to sewer conversion, which is almost $1.6 million. We have spent a little bit this year, but the majority of the funding is going to be in next year's budget. So that is shown both on the revenue side and on the expense side. It's got the CDBG funding, the St. John's, and the FDEP totaling almost $1.6 million. The second line item is the 2020-2021 appropriation for lift station 6, which was $250,000. That project is pretty close to being done as far as design. We're about 90%, Mike?
Correct.
90% design. So that project will go into construction probably late this year, early next year. And that is going to allow us to also connect the public safety building and the school to the wastewater system. The next one is lift station 7, which is another Jefferson Street extension. That project is funded $500,000 from the state. That one we haven't started design yet. We just got all the paperwork on that. So we're getting everything set. That will support new development, the Briley farm development, as well as will allow capacity to be able to do future septic to sewer conversions once we can get that lift station in.
Are they about a year apart from lift station number 6?
Probably.
Would you say?
Yeah, probably a year to 18 months. So then the next thing is, and we have received our funding from the American Rescue Plan, about $782,000. So that is reflected both as a revenue in the utility fund and an expense. When we talked previously, the commission had a consensus as far as putting those funds into infrastructure projects, which is allowable water and wastewater projects. So that's where the money has been allocated to. So we've got 3 projects for this year that I'll show, and then the project for the following year, because we get it in two bites. So the next tranche will come a year from now, 12 months. And that's about the time we'll be doing, getting further along with the alternative water system. So when we do next year's budget, I'm going to recommend we take that other $782,000 and put it towards the alternative water system. But for the 782 that we just received, it will go to 3 different projects. It'll go to the remaining amount of money that's needed for that lift station 6, about a $600,000 project. It'll go to the fees and costs and connections, construction connections to connect the OACS and the public safety building. And then the additional water well number 3 that we've been talking about, the redundant well that will go in on the property behind the current well. That's about $1 million project, and we've got it funded from two sources right now. We're still a little short on funding. That project, we'll be talking more about that coming during the fiscal year about getting that project under construction. So we need to fill in that last gap of funding. We got it about 3/4 of the way funded. So, but that's probably the one that's closest to being under construction. That and the station 6 are the 2 that'll be under construction, probably the quickest. Next, so that's the utility. And then next thing I'm going to do is go to the impact fees. So as this development's been happening around town over the last 3 or 4 years, we've been collecting impact fees on the individual residences as well as the commercial projects. And so we are trying to, and it, impact fees are for projects that have to do with growth. So, we've got bigger demands on the roads, on the water system, on the wastewater system. So those impact fees are allocated for projects that have to do with growth. So again, we've got some money in there in case we need to do that Northwest Loop study. We've got funding for the additional water well number 3. Like I said, we've got that about 3/4 of the way funded. Once we know we're ready to go and we have a final cost estimate, I'll come back to the commission to talk about filling the gap on that project. We've got the design going on for the alternative water project, which hopefully once we get the design done and we can work on getting some funding for that project, that'll be something we'll be working on in 2023. And then we've got future reserves, about $324,000. Wastewater system, same thing. We've got capacity projects. We've got some money in there as a cost share for the Hall Avenue project. We've got a developer agreement that we still need to finalize with that $212,000. And then the reserves for future projects of about $35,000. I don't have any updated costs for the shade sales at Spear Park or at the Pollard Park. So I've just got placeholders right now for those projects. Let me go to the next slide here. So under Parks and Recreation, nothing's changed from what you saw back in July. We've got the Spear Park Phase 3, which could include shade sales, butterfly garden, and the junior basketball court. And then we've got the Sadler Park, Sadler Trail Park development with the playground, exercise stations, and the dog park. So we're working on that Sadler Park. Mike's doing quite a bit of planning right now in order to get that project moving forward. Again, that name, it's kind of reserved right now. This is just a placeholder, calling it the Sadler Trail Park. That may be something we want to talk about in the future as far as what that park should be named in perpetuity. And in law enforcement, we're working on getting some costs on the renovation of the police building. And we've got a camera project that we're looking at as far as being able to have some cameras out on the road to do some additional surveillance on roads. And then we've got some reserves for future projects. Transportation's the big one where we have the largest amount of funding. The big project is the Oakland roundabout, and the bids have been received. They're being reviewed. We are waiting to hear when that's going to go to the commission, Orange County Commission, for approval of that construction project. We are on the hook for half of the cost over and above the $2.3 million grant. We probably will not use the entire $1 million. Sorry, thank you. We probably will not use the entire $1 million for that project. Whatever is not used comes back to us. We do have some money in there for some post-design services with CPH, who did the design of the project, because they are going to have to do some different reviews and be on call if there's any changes to the plans. We're going to continue to do some of the turnouts that we've done in the past. We just did 2 on Cross Street and Oakland Avenue. Those work out really well, and actually they'll fit well into future planning of Oakland Avenue and Tub Street. So we'll continue doing those turnouts. Transportation study and design, there's $75,000, kind of a general for future projects. Star Street construction, we're working on getting all the final approvals we need in order to secure the right of way along the Presbyterian Church so that we can connect Star Street to what's being developed through Tractor Supply and Lakeside Church. So Star Street will be north-south. We are looking to try to construct that in the spring, but we're still working on getting everything in place before we can get there. So we reserves of about $1.4 million, and hopefully next year we had a great meeting on Thursday night. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the regular meeting. We are going to come back and talk about Oakland Avenue and Sept Street and future improvements to both of those roads. And then we can talk about how those reserves and transportation can be spent in the future. And then administrative facilities, we've got a placeholder to do a future space needs study. Eventually, we are going to need to look at some office space and some renovations with some of the town facilities, but we're not quite there yet. But we've got some money in there to start the planning and some reserves that we're building up for that future projects. And then the last one is fire protection. We collect $100 per house. We are looking for gaps with hydrants and some things like that we can do to make sure that we've got a fire protection across town. I believe we just added a hydrant in the last couple of weeks for this year, using this year. And so the total impact fee budget is a little over $5,066,234. And then the last one is the Oakland Avenue Charter School. It's got a total budget of about $5.8 million, $5,897. The June budget approval was based on the 2021 budget because we didn't have the revenue calculator. We don't usually get that until July, but we do have to have a budget in place in order to operate starting July 1. The budget's been updated with the state revenue calculator. It does include the VPK program, both the revenues and expenses. It includes some ESSER grant funding, which is federal funds for COVID, which then also includes some COVID-19 expenses, including staffing. We do have a nurse over there, janitorial, PPE supplies. The reserves have gone down a little bit to $274,000, but that's where we're at right now with the way things are with COVID and just making sure that we can operate the school adequately. Again, the HVAC project's under design, and that is a general fund, that is a town expense because we, as the town, own the facility. So the requested action here is the approval of resolution 2021-07, adopting the FY 2022 tentative budget. Again, it looks kind of daunting. It's bigger than anything that we've done in the past, but you saw the number of impact fee projects, grant funded projects that are going on. So those are one-time expenses. They're not ongoing. I mean, we did have some increases in operating expenses, but a huge portion of the change is those one-time expenses, the infrastructure and capital projects. So you can see the total budget that I'm asking for approval is $27,762,534. So happy to answer any questions concerning the budget.
I have a question, Steve.
Yes, sir.
When you were talking about parks and rec, for the third part of the park that's for the older kids, that's still included in this budget. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's on order. And I don't have a date when it'll be installed, but it is on order.
Okay, cool. I just think you've not seen it on there, made me just think to ask the question. Thank you.
Any more questions from the table? Have anyone online for public comments? Questions?
I see no hands raised.
I'm good.
Mayor?
I'm good. Great job.
All right, I'll bring it back to the table. Ready for the motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the requested approval of the resolution 2021-07, adopting the fiscal year 2022 tentative budget totaling $27,762,534.
I'll second it.
All right, the move and second, ready for the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Has been moved.
All right. And then one last slide is to approve the final public hearing. We'll be advertising this in the paper. We have to follow all the statutory trim requirements. This date meets those requirements. But it's to approve the final budget public hearing for the town of Oakland in the town meeting hall, and where we're at right now, 221 North Arrington, both in person and virtually, on Tuesday, September 28th, 2021, 6:30 p.m.
All righty. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the final budget public hearing for the town of Oakland for the town meeting hall, 2021 North Arrington and virtual, live and virtual on Tuesday, September 28th, 2021 at 6:30 PM.
I'll second it.
All right, been moved to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approve. Our next budget meeting at 6:30 PM. Thank you. All righty, so with that being said, we'll adjourn this meeting of the budget and let's give like a, 5-6 minute recess until we start the general meeting. Perfect. All righty, we're adjourned for another 6 minutes.
Great job, Joseph.
You've done this before, Joseph.
All righty, it's now 7:06 PM. We're gonna call this September 13th commission meeting to order. With the pledge of allegiance and the invocation by Commissioner Ramos. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Ramos.
Father God, thank you once again for entrusting us with your town. I continue to ask for you to give us wisdom and discernment. Help us make decisions for the best of our town citizens. May we honor you in all we say this evening. In your name, we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right.
McMullen, Commissioner Pollan,
Here.
Commissioner Ramos,
Present.
Vice Mayor Satterfield.
Unmute.
Can you
Unmute.
hear me now?
Yeah,
Present.
Mayor Stark.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
All right, Mayor, you want to make your announcement? Or- Mayor. Mayor Scott, you want to make the announcement?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I made it once, but I'll make it again. I am on vacation, and due to the difficulties of running a meeting via Zoom, I'm turning the meeting over to Joseph McMullen. Commissioner Joseph McMullen is in charge of the meeting.
Thank you so much. So based off of some extenuating circumstances, our mayor and vice mayor are coming in live to us via Zoom. And so we'll move over on to our next item, which is the presentation. And we have a proclamation. It is Constitution Week, September 17th through the 23rd, and I will read the proclamation. Constitution Week 2021, whereas September 17th, 2021 marks the 234th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition of this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Joseph P. McMullen, Commissioner of the Town of Oakland, do hereby proclaim September 17th through the 23rd, 2021 as Constitution Week in the town of Oakland, Florida, and ask our citizens to study the Constitution and reflect on the privilege of being an American with all the rights and responsibilities with which that privilege involves. Thank you very much. Constitution Week 2021.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move on over to the public forum, and as our mayor always says, we're opening it up to the public to discuss anything that's not on the agenda, and we may have a 3-minute limit. Anyone want to take us up on the public forum portion right now? Anyone online?
You don't see any hands raised.
Uh-oh, okay.
Okay,
We'll bring it back to the meeting, and we're gonna go to the next agenda item, which is the consent agenda. What do you have?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Probably move in second. Now I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda has been approved. Moving on to the public hearing. As noted on our agenda, ordinance 2021, the village comp plan, that applicant withdrawn their application. And the next ordinance 2021, the rezoning, again, the applicant withdrew their application. And so we're going to move over to the second public hearing of ordinance 2021-18. Turn it over to,
Me.
all right.
For the record, second public hearing of ordinance 2021-18, an ordinance of the town of Oakland, Florida, vacating an existing portion of North Brook Street lying between East Gully Avenue and the West Orange Trail, Railroad Avenue, providing for severability, conflict, and an effective date.
So we had a presentation on this for the first reading. Jay and Mike were both here. Both of them. It's just a vacation of right away. It's staying with the town, on both sides of the property. It's for the future alternative well projects. If you have any questions, Mike or Jay can answer those.
Any questions from the table? Any questions online?
I'm good.
They give us a public hearing too?
Yes.
Okay, we'll open up for a public hearing on ordinance 2021-18. Anyone from the public has any comments on it?
I see no hands raised.
All right, bring it back to the table, ready for the vote? Ready for the motion?
I'll make a motion to approve second public hearing ordinance 2021-18.
I'll second it.
Probably moved and moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's been moved. We're moving on to public hearing ordinance 2021-21.
So this is second public hearing for ordinance 2021-21, an ordinance of the town of Oakland, Florida, amending section 22-1 general elections of article 1 in general of chapter 22 elections of the code of ordinances of the town of Oakland, Florida by changing the election date and providing for codification, conflict, severability, and an effective date. If you remember from the first reading, our code was in direct conflict with the supervisor of elections date. So this is just resetting it so that it coordinates with their general election date for Orange County.
All righty, any comments?
Nope.
Open up for public hearing. Any comments from the public?
I see no hands raised.
All righty, bring it back to the commission. I need a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the second public hearing of ordinance 2021-21.
I'll second it.
Moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Approved. Moving on to resolutions. Resolution 2021-04, 2022 election qualifying dates.
So this is resolution 2021-04, a resolution of the town of Oakland, Florida, establishing the beginning and ending dates and times to qualify as a candidate for the 2022 town general election and providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date. So this is just standard annual practice of setting qualifying dates for the general election.
I don't even bring this to a public.
Yeah, we gotta do a vote on the resolution.
All righty, any comments, discussion from the table?
No, we're good.
Commission? Okay. All right, I'm gonna open it to the public for any comments, questions, concerns on the election qualifying dates.
Commissioner, I see no hands raised.
All right, bring it back to the table for the vote. For the motion.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 2021-04-2022 election qualifying dates.
I'll second it.
All right, it's been probably moving second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's been approved. We're moving on to the town manager's report.
All right, I got a couple things. Been a busy couple weeks, honestly. The Oakland Avenue resurfacing is essentially done, the actual resurfacing part. They will be doing the striping this week. Once the striping is done, then the project is done as far as Oakland Avenue. We had a vaccination mobile clinic on August 25th on the grass near Tuff Street. We had 23 vaccinations. The Arts and Heritage Center was also open, as well as we had Healthy West Orange and Shepherd's Hope out there with the vaccination event. We saw 31 visitors between 9 and noon at the Heritage Center. We had a great meeting last week, the week before, on the community complete streets. So we had probably 30 to 40 people that came out to the meeting. It was on the 2nd of September from 6 to 7:30. Had some great input, got a lot of notes. The consultants have gone back to take all that information, and we're going to have another meeting on September 30th from 6 to 7:30 to go over and kind of finalize so that we can bring it forward to the commission. But I thought we got some real good input. We had quite a few people come out, and we did a little walking tour actually down the Tuff Street and just kind of looking at some of the opportunities that could happen on Tuff Street and Oakland Avenue in the future. And thank you to Jay and the consultants have been great with coordinating all of that. Let's see. The next thing, I had coffee with the town manager on September 9th. I had about 8 people on there. And what I did is I took the opportunity, we talked about the Arts and Heritage Center, and then I took the opportunity to go take that presentation that the consultants gave on September 2nd and went over that on my coffee meeting, just to kind of to get some more input. And we had one person that actually lives on Oakland Avenue, so I was glad to see them on there. And so I went through that again, so we could get some more people in the know about what's going on. I sent out information last week on the Florida Turnpike widening project. I had hoped we'd get more notice on that. They had some change in personnel. The lady that I talked to, and her name's at the bottom of the press release that went out, was very apologetic, and they definitely want to work with us on making sure we're keeping the town informed. But they are going to close that bridge starting September 26th. So that's coming soon. It will be out of service for approximately a year. Again, they will not be taking the pedestrian bridge, because there were some questions. They will not be taking the pedestrian bridge out of service until the road bridge has been replaced. So they're doing this project sequentially. They'll put the new road bridge will go in over the next 12 months. Then they'll take out the pedestrian bridge out of service and replace it, and that'll take about 12 months. They do have a traffic plan for the pedestrians during that 12 months that the bridge is out. So that'll be happening. The mayor and I, and also Commissioner Ramos, attended the West Orange Chamber luncheon on September 9th also, and learned a whole lot about the Horizon West development and the Horizon West, the things that have been happening over in that part of Orange County. And then the Arts and Heritage Center update, we will be celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month at the Arts and Heritage Center starting September 1st and running through October 30th. There was some really, really great art over there if you haven't been over there yet. There will be an opening night event with live music and a food truck on Friday night, September 17th from 5 to 7. So that's this coming Friday night from 5 to 7. If you don't have it on your calendar already, we'd love to get as many people to come out. But we'll have some music playing, I believe, and then the art and a food truck. So, but yeah, the art's really, really very interesting. So if you haven't had a chance to see that, please come up. And that's all I have. I appreciate your time.
Mr. Parker?
I'm good.
All right. So bring it back to the table then. Anything on the chief or Jay? We're looking for a record, huh?
We do have the cemetery project rolling along. We're meeting with their staff, our new consultant staff on Friday. And so that's going to be shortly out there for you all to help clear out some of the brush out there.
He's speaking about the historical
African-American cemetery.
Okay.
Yes, we'll get more information out on that as that starts to come, as we get the schedule and things start to come together on that.
Nice.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Ramos.
Just want to circle back to the shots that we had here, 8/25. You know what date's going to be the second shot and when they're going to come back for the second shot here?
Alicia?
Vaccine?
Yes, no, they won't be back for a second shot. That would have been. Orange County had to use their resources elsewhere. So we said we would try to book them again sometime in the fall, hopefully when they're doing the booster shots. So anyone who needs their second shot will have to go to the pharmacy or one of the sites that are open for vaccinations. And it was the Pfizer shot.
Just brought it up so we can communicate to those 23 residents who did come out, who may not know and they're waiting.
Right.
How can we let them know so they're not thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to redeploy those resources so they won't come out. So again, it was a Pfizer shot. That's the 4 weeks, I believe. And so you can schedule a shot at your local pharmacy on that.
Yeah, let's make sure that the people who showed up for that are notified.
Do we have that list, Alicia? Because it was
No.
through DOH.
No, we don't have that information, and this was only advertised as a one-time event. So I'm hoping that Department of Health communicated that. I will follow up with Department of Health tomorrow.
Yeah, there may be some HIPAA rules around that.
Oh, yeah.
If we don't have their information, can we at least post it on the advertise saying whoever took the shots, you have to go, somewhere else? Because some of the elder people that I saw there, they may not know on the west side that when they came up,
Okay.
they may be waiting. At least let them know on the advertisement in the web.
I'll get with Alicia and see what we can do. We might be able to post something at the post office or something that would allow people to know what's going on. And that was through DOH, so we don't have the database of who they give the shots to.
And I'm super excited about the Hispanic month. Really am. Wonder why, right? Thank you, Commissioner McMullen, and everybody who's been helping out with this. We went to go see it this Saturday, and they have really nice artwork, and some of them are local artwork here in Oakland that actually painted it. And I actually bought my first painting there for this art. So, and just ideas that they were bringing up, putting sold and how. There was a lot of questions while I was there about the artwork. How do you determine, is there going to be an auction? Is there going to be the now date when you buy it? But I don't know, but I put mine aside already.
Okay. Yeah, we're working through as we're learning as we go with doing the art and having it for sale, because we're not actually taking the money, as staff. You have to go through the artist. So we'll work on that, getting that information out.
I can explain a little bit more. We're working with Gabby from Artscape, and this is how she does her events all throughout Orlando and West Orange. So if you like a piece of art, you scan the QR code and it takes you to the website and you can purchase directly there. And then Gabby notifies us and we mark the art as sold. And when the event ends at the end of October, you can pick up your piece.
Cool. And an update from Metro Plan. So I was there last week, and just to reiterate about the exit, when we were talking about the Turnpike, the gentleman was on there, and they said they heard us loud and clear about having an exit sign and on the Turnpike that says, "Welcome to the town of Oakland." Besides just Winter Garden exit,
Yes.
people know it as. So, and that's all I have.
Commissioner Paulin.
September 25th, Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Oakland Nature Preserve is going to have an open house. We're going to have some animal interactions, guided hikes, native plant sale, and various presentations.
Cool.
So
What time is it?
10 o'clock, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So
If you want native plants, get there early.
Yeah, the plants sell out fast every time.
Yeah.
That's not a Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday the 25th.
I'll go, because, I don't want my mayor not to go last, so I'll go now. Just the Tri-County League, meetings. The one, the one that's coming up this week is virtual. It looks like October 21st, the one that's supposed to be in Hvac, it's gonna probably go virtual as well. So with this Delta variant, going on, so Tri County is probably gonna be virtual for the next couple of months. We're definitely gonna be virtual in a couple of days. But October 21st is supposed to be was supposed to be in Hvac. More than likely, we got an email going around. They're probably gonna be virtual as well. So this does a great job of reaching out to the commission as meetings as they get announced. So that's the only thing I want to report on right now as it relates to the Tri-County. Vice Mayor?
Only thing I have is school update. And I'm sure we all know it wasn't a very smooth transition with the masks. The teachers aren't happy for the most part. Parents aren't happy for the most part. I would ask that we be, until we can get through whatever we got to do, to be very sympathetic to our principal and our teachers because they are having a rough time at the school. And that's all I have.
Mayor?
I second what Mike is saying. I get, a number of love letters every day. And I understand that people have different opinions and we're doing the best we can. So Steve and I took a ride with somebody from Winter Garden at the Mayor John Reese's request of Winter Garden to tour the Hope. Would you call it the Hope Center, Steve?
Yes.
And it's an outreach center and it's very impressive the work that they're doing with people in crisis. It's not just homeless folks, it's people who are tipping over the edge of homelessness, people who need jobs. It's a myriad of things. They have a food pantry. They are getting ready to move into West Orange County and they are going to have a storefront next to Bravo / Key Foods. Used to be Bravo, now it's Key. It's, I think, going to be a very, it's going to be good for West Orange County. And there is no ask. There is nothing that they're asking us for at this time, but just know they're trying to get the word out and educate people on what they are trying to accomplish. So look for that to come in the near future. And their thrift stores are New Beginnings. And I think you remember there was one near Harbor Freight. And there's one down by the Citrus Tower right now. And they are largely funded through that. So it was a very interesting education, but it was just a education for us at this point. And Steve mentioned that we went to the chamber meeting, and that is all that I have at this point, except to thank Joseph for running the meeting and doing a great job.
Thank you, Mayor.
Just one last thing. I do, Satterfield brought it up. I do want to commend Pam for all the work she's doing over at the school and managing the situation. I do appreciate everything she's doing.
Yes. It's not, this is not an easy subject. This is not an easy task. And we recognize that our staff is really trying to do the right things. I think we have a hand up, or is that a?
John Smith.
Yeah, I was just going to mention on the Hope Center, they had their annual gala on the 13th of November for anybody interested.
Okay.
So I don't know how you get notified. I got notified kind of out of the blue, but anyway.
They didn't, I don't think they mentioned that, did they, Steve?
I don't remember mentioning that, but It's impressive what they got going on, and we'll see how it translates over to West Orange County as they move forward with their plans.
Can I ask a question about them? Are they trying to, I know you kind of said, but who are they targeting as far as who are they trying to help?
There is a national, and I don't have it with me. There's a national website, and they are trying to help people who are in need of food, people who are in need of jobs,
Okay,
people who are in need of tipping into homelessness. They are trying to keep people in their homes.
yeah,
I got the card I can get you
Okay.
after the meeting.
It's a lot of different things, and I can tell you that they go out to Disney once a week to help people get jobs. Their point of view is if you're going to tip into homelessness, they want to keep you in your home and not let you tip into homelessness and get you back on your feet.
okay. Any more comments, questions, statements?
Good.
All right, y'all know the routine. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mayor.
I'm sorry, I have one more. I'm thrilled that we are able to lower our millage rate once again.
Yeah,
And I hope we continue to do that good work.
yeah, I was gonna wait till the next meeting to talk about that, but yeah, it is amazing what the staff's been able to do with that budget. It's simply amazing, yeah.
Yep.
And during a time when revenues and everything has been just, so unpredictable, so yeah. All righty, y'all know the routine. If all hearts and minds are satisfied, let's adjourn. It is now 7:32 PM.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Y'all, man. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Vice Mayor.